Here we are. Good evening, everybody. I am Justin Everett, joined by my good friend, Skip Bayless slash Aaron Barrison. You're going to call me Ryan Leaf in public. I'm going to say Skip Bayless to your face. How
That's
you doing
more of
today,
an
buddy?
insult. At least Ryan Leaf had an excuse and became a drug addict. Skip's just an asshole. So
it's
that's
I listen. I figured I'd try to keep it correct to what you are. So I mean, as long as we're
insult
just keeping it even, you know.
insult me a little bit. We've been doing this for the better part of a year, actually. Now,
We're a couple of
if
weeks
you
away from a year, I think.
yeah, a couple weeks, we took a couple months off in the summer, came back, and I think we're at a point where we're looking to elevate our show a little bit. So, for those of you watching, I asked a couple of you to watch that might be interested in coming on the show, might be interested in co hosting the show, whatever it is. We want to put you guys on the spot. We want you guys to comment a little more. By the way, if you're commenting right now on either of our pages, go to the Big Facts page and comment there because that's where we'll see your comment. But we are trying to bring someone in, bring some guests in, have more engagement rather than you guys just typing in a little box. We want to actually talk to you and put you on the spot. So if you think you have what it takes to get on the show with me and Justin, trust me, it's not that hard. We're good at our jobs. We're not that good at our jobs. We do everything in life at about a B plus level. Give us a shout, and we'll find a way to get you on this show and see what comes about it.
What
Anything to
Aaron's
add to
trying to
that?
say is he needs help defending himself against things like Tua is the next Steve Young. So I know that we've got a lot of people that get involved. I know we got a lot of people that send comments. We're just looking to get more people involved, man. I want more opinions. Philly area, not Philly area. I'm super interested to see if any of the people that you or I know that are native Philadelphians who are Dallas Cowboys fans or Boston Celtic fans, I'd love to get some of those guys involved too because I always find it a little bit more intriguing a conversation when you're talking Philadelphia guy to Philadelphia guy about a team that they've never been able to grow up watching. So I want anybody, man. I like Aaron said, everybody that's out there, anybody that watches and comments and wants to participate, no matter who you like, no matter who you root for. We're just looking to get the conversation more engaged. Come on camera with us, talk to us about your opinion, let us know how you feel, and just enter into the Lions Den with Skippy and myself and see what we can end up with.
We get some decent comments all the time. I can't imagine we're not going to have good conversation.
Chad, we're
Today,
looking for bias. We're looking for bias, Chad. I know that you are a die-hard Dolphins fan, and that intrigues me because you are probably the only human being on planet Earth that agrees with my purple-shirted co-host about Tua's apparent potential future of being a Hall of Famer, and he's fucking terrible. I would
yeah,
love to have you on, Chad.
tells you a lot that they traded back from three and aren't going to take a quarterback. Let's move on. We told you guys today that we were going to place some odds bets, what we thought were some good bets for division winners. Now, keep in mind, free agency has started. This is pre-draft. We don't know who these teams are going to draft. We're starting to get an idea based on the free agents they've signed, but there is odds released on almost every sports book saying which team's going to win their division and what the odds are. So why don't just we start in our own division and we'll give the teams, we'll give the odds, and then we'll go back and forth and let you know where the smart money might be. Maybe not the winner of the division, but where the smart money would be to place. So in the NFC East, we have the Dallas Cowboys being the favorites to win the division. Now, no clear-cut favorites. There's no team that's minus 115 or minus 105. So the Dallas Cowboys are plus 105. The Washington football team is plus 275. The New York Giants are plus 450. And our good old Eagles in last are plus 500. Who do you got as your favorite odds in this scenario?
So when I looked at these numbers, all right, listen, the Dallas Cowboys on paper should win this division. It shouldn't be a competition. We felt that way last year. 2 weeks into the season, Dakota Prescott blows out his ankle, and everything changes. Um, my gut tells me that the Cowboys is the safe bet. If you're asking me for a safe bet, you go with the Dallas Cowboys. if you ask me what would be the left field best money on your odds if you've got $10 because you have $10 to waste, throw it out and see what happens. This is still, and I hope nobody forgets this, the worst division in football. And second place is not close. And they're so bad because nobody knows. If Jalen Hurts comes out and looks like Russell Wilson next year, the Eagles are going to be quick favorites 4 weeks into the season. If Daniel Jones comes out and doesn't fumble the football or throw interceptions, the Giants are going to leapfrog. If Tyler Heineke or Ryan Fitzpatrick, I guess might be their starter now, comes out and does crazy things for Washington, they'll jump ahead of Dallas. And if Dallas doesn't execute, which they don't do, they're going to slip down. So I wrote this down, and I don't know why. I said this to you out loud as we were doing the pre-show. I can't believe I'm going to say what I'm going to say. But if you got $10 and you want to throw something on the NFC East, who knows, man? Maybe Howie is a genius, and this move back to 12 is to move up and get something else. If I had $10, dude, on this division, I'm taking the longest odds and hoping that lightning strikes. You got plus 500 on the Eagles, lay $10, and maybe they get there. Likely Dallas, unlikely, but best value is obviously the Eagles in the worst division in football.
Now, I can see the logic because the division's so bad that it's just kind of up for grabs, right? So whatever you got, I'm a guy that likes to throw a little bit, $50, $100 on something if I think it's good value. I actually think there's a team in this division that is good value. For me, the Dallas Cowboys, once you start paying QBs and you've overpaid the running back and your defense has been terrible and Mike McCarthy's a bad coach, I'm writing the Dallas Cowboys off because they've proven to me that even with the best roster and a decent coach, they're not going to win. So I'm not going to do it with Dak Prescott coming off a broken leg and also overpaying a bunch of my skill guys. The Washington football team, I would like to pick them, but Ryan Fitzpatrick, another year in the league, even though they have a great defense, not a ton of great skill players on the offensive side of the football, and I haven't seen Ryan Fitzpatrick give me a full season. I've seen him be very streaky, have games where he throws 4 touchdowns, and then have games where he throws 5 picks. My bet is on the New York Giants. And my bet is on the New York Giants because of the moves that they've made in free agency. They get Leonard Williams back. They're plus 450. They signed the biggest free agent wide receiver. They get Adoree Jackson. They get Kyle Rudolph. Saquon Barkley's coming back. Daniel Jones is healthy, and they have the number 11 overall pick. Maybe it ends up being Pitts. Maybe it ends up being Smith. Maybe they shore up the defense even more, and it ends up being Micah Parsons. But I think at plus 450.
Can we talk about that real quick, bro? I love that bet, first of all. I think your argument is spot on for what the Giants could be. For me, it's Daniel Jones that holds me back from going there myself. But I get everything that you said. Isn't that a New York Giants pick? At 11, Micah Parsons. That is a New York Giants pick. Now, I will say this real quick, and this is a side note we can get to later on, but I want to put it out there. If anybody hasn't looked into Micah Parsons' off-the-field issues, they are extensive. And that's the reason why he is starting to tank down draft boards. I will say, however, though, at number 12, I don't think it's a reach. And if Micah Parsons is there and you traded down to shore up that defense, if Patrick Surtain goes at 10, your only right pick is Micah Parsons. I don't give a shit about the off the field. I don't care if I have to watch Stephen A. Smith every day talk about weed again. I don't give a shit. That guy he ran a 4.39 40 as a fucking middle linebacker. That is unbelievable. And not a 5'11 middle linebacker. My man is yoked, bro. But that is such a New York Giants pick, bro. And you said Micah Parsons, maybe at 11. That is exactly what would happen, bro. Saquon is a Penn State alum. That's exactly what would happen. And hear about 12.
Let's think about it this way. Daniel Jones played half the season. The other half that he did play, he was absolutely atrocious. If the guy can just not turn the football over, they're going to end up winning 9 or 10 games, and that's going to be enough to win this division. I'm throwing the Eagles out of this division until they show me something the first couple weeks with Jalen Hurts. I can hear you fine, by the way, Just, so I'm not sure if it's
my mic up a little bit just in case.
Okay. So let's move on to the NFC North. The NFC North is a little bit more interesting because there's an obvious pick in the NFC North, but it's some slow money there. You got to put up a lot to win a little. So you got the Green Bay Packers, which is the obvious pick at minus 250. You got the Minnesota Vikings plus 400, the Chicago Bears plus 550, and the Detroit Lions with the best, the worst, I guess you could say, odds, I think, in this entire
Oh, no, there's another
NFL.
one. We'll talk about them soon. Don't worry.
The Detroit Lions plus 2,800. NFC
The
North.
Cincinnati Bengals are also plus 2,500.
Lions are plus 28.
Yeah, it's close. So
They're bad.
I mean, obviously the money is clearly on Green Bay.
Yeah.
I didn't write one of these teams down because I don't know that there is value here, because I don't know that I believe in any of these other teams. I mean, obviously, it goes without saying that the Detroit Lions are not going to win this. I mean, Jared Goff's the quarterback as of now, and who the fuck knows how that goes. Chicago, I think, got worse with Andy Dalton. I know that Mitchell Trubisky gets a lot of flack and a lot of shit, and he deserves most of it. But Andy Dalton is just, I mean, guys, this is not Carson Palmer. I know that because there was a similar arc of the career where Andy Dalton had some good years for a bad franchise in Cincinnati. We all thought that when he got out of Cincinnati, he'd be this good quarterback. He's just not that good. I don't think the Bears are a value bet at all. I believe the Bears take a massive step back this season. But Minnesota is intriguing to me. If Minnesota plays the draft correctly and just just addresses a couple of little spots on that team, they don't need much of anything. They don't need a number one wide receiver. They have Justin Jefferson. They don't need a running back. They have Dalvin Cook. They're dying to get rid of fucking Kirk Cousins, but you are where you are now with Kirk. He's got to be your guy going forward. I would be interested to see midway through the season where these odds end up. I believe Minnesota has the opportunity to give Green Bay a run, and I think that would be the only, in this division, it's the only smart money for an underdog, if you will. I think you throw down some money on Minnesota, count on Matt LaFleur not knowing how to handle Aaron Rodgers again, count on all the shit that goes on with that franchise that nobody can make sense of, and maybe Minnesota pulls out at one last year. This is Kirk Cousins' last year of his contract, isn't it?
It's either his last or his second to last.
So even if it's not his last, they're obviously going to be looking to get out from under it next year if he's expiring, if they can. This is like the last hurrah for what they built down there right now. I think that, again, I don't want to call it smart money, but if you want a smart underdog, that would be the smart underdog.
So I think we both agree that, this is one of those spots where I'd be willing to bet 1,000 just to win a couple $100, because unless Aaron Rodgers gets injured, and realistically, I'm thinking to myself at this point, even if Aaron Rodgers gets injured, it's like they still could end up being 500 and win that division. Like, there's no other team in that division that's probably very good. The Minnesota Vikings, they lost a couple guys and they gained Patrick Peterson for a year. So they lost Kyle Rudolph to the Giants, another guy the Giants added. They lost Riley Reif, their offensive tackle. They lost Anthony Harris to the Eagles. They already had a bad defense to begin with. They were injured last year. Kirk Cousins is going to be Kirk Cousins. They're a good offense. They put up garbage time statistics all the time on the offense side of the ball in the second half when they get behind and they don't play defense. I am going to say the Bears only because they give me better odds than the Vikings, and defense always shows up. It's not because I think Dalton's an upgrade from Trubisky. It's not really any other reason besides I think that Matt Nagy's probably on the hot seat on his last year, going to try to get everything he can out of Dalton, has a decent veteran quarterback room at least, even though none of them are very good. And I feel like, nobody's going to win unless Aaron Rodgers gets injured. But if I have to put money on somebody other than Green Bay, I think I'm putting it on the Bears just because I can rely on one side of the football with them. And that's it.
I hear your argument on defense for the Bears. I do, and I don't disagree with you. I think that defense still shows up. I think they're a great defense. But that team took tremendous steps backwards to me. Again,
do you think just with Dalton's experiences, the problem with Trubisky, right? One of the biggest problems is his lack of confidence. He's a young guy. He didn't always know where to go with the football. Dalton at least is a veteran and kind of understands how to read defense. His talent level is just not. What's that?
But he can't play though, right? Like we know that after Dallas last year, he can't play. He doesn't have
they had a
anything left
lot.
in the tank.
He had a different. He started to play well at the end of the year. He ran off a
Okay,
couple games
that's
at the
fair.
end of
He
the year.
started to play better at the end of the year when that offensive line got a little bit healthier, which is in every facet way better than what Chicago has.
Yeah,
I think Andy Dalton is a significant downgrade because of the athleticism. Mitchell Trubisky, that is 100% accurate. He's just young and immature and is not confident in his own brain yet. But
yeah,
just because Andy Dalton is confident, like there's certain guys, Phillip Rivers, right? Phillip Rivers is confident as they get. Phillip Rivers retired. Drew Brees retired because their
yeah.
body just wasn't there. And I don't know that Andy Dalton's that far along. I don't want to say he's got no gas left in the tank, but he is clearly running on fumes. I don't disagree, though. I mean, Chicago, again, I didn't write one down out of this division because I do believe that this is Green Bay's division. I don't think you
Yeah.
should waste your money on this
You
division.
don't
But
bet.
I think either way, dude, like, again, Chicago's defense could be there, or this offense from Minnesota with Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins could take a step forward. And if they do, that's going to be the boost they need to be better than what that Chicago defense could be. So I think it's a crapshoot after Green Bay. If you have to bet this division, you bet 1,000 and win a couple hundred because Green Bay's the only one that makes sense to bet in this division.
Yeah, I agree with you. NFC South, throwing the Buccaneers out.
Spend a lot of time on this one.
We'll talk about it, but the only thing that happens with Tampa Bay is if Father Time finally beats Tom Brady, right?
Which
I mean,
that's going to happen this year.
that's the only thing, right? So, aside from the Buccaneers, I'll start with this one. The Saints to me are in a boatload of trouble.
I can't believe by these ratings.
Space aside, have had the same QB for a long time. Taysom Hill is not going to lead that football team.
I can't believe that they are the second favorite in this division. That blows me away. I understand it's Carolina and Atlanta. Like, I get that too. But I don't give a shit, bro. Drew Brees to Taysom Hill that's a whole different team now. That's an entirely different franchise now.
Now, let me ask you this. Am I crazy to think that, with the Panthers having CMC coming back from injury, that the Falcons, just because they have a veteran quarterback and a good offense, just could have a bounce back year, given the fact that most of the games they lost last year was because they blew it? Like, am I crazy to think that?
Here's what I was going to ask you. It's a funny question that you're going to ask me. If Atlanta either spends that fourth overall pick on, let's say that just to fucking bone Cincinnati, they take Penei Sewell or an offensive lineman to protect Matt Ryan and get another couple years out of him. Or they end up with Jamar Chase or Kyle Pitts or any one of these stellar offensive playmakers. Atlanta is a much better team with any one of those guys. What everybody's forgetting is last year was a specifically horrendous kind of season for Atlanta.
Yeah.
A lot of things went wrong at the same time.
Yes.
And we're starting to talk about Atlanta like they're the Detroit Lions, and they just aren't. Now,
They're not.
Atlanta has one feather in their cap most teams don't, which is the greatest collapse in Super Bowl history. That did happen to Atlanta and Matt Ryan and this franchise. But they've always been competitive. I'm going to tell you, of all of the odds that I looked at tonight, Atlanta plus 1,200, right? If they have a bounce back season, and let's say Tom Brady just gets a ticky-tack injury, right? Let's say that they're 10-1 going into the last stretch of the season, and Tom's a little gimpy. They're just going to sit fucking Tom Brady and coast to the playoffs. They don't give a shit about home field advantage.
We didn't talk about this before we came on here, but we're on exactly the same page. My thoughts are they blew four games last year that they should have won. Lost a couple by 1 or 2 points, have the same offense. They have Arthur Smith coming over from the Tennessee Titans. They had a terrible
offensively minded and very offensively gifted.
It made Ryan Tannehill an MVP candidate, and Matt Ryan's a step up from Ryan Tannehill. He's already won an MVP.
Significant step up.
Their offense is going to be much better than they were last year. And let's just pretend for a second that the defense is average and the Buccaneers decide that they can just coast through the regular season because it's all about the playoffs and they win 10. Couldn't the Falcons win 11?
Yeah, absolutely.
If the Saints have a bad year?
Again, this is one of those ones I said earlier. If you got $10, $15, $20, and you just want to dabble it on like a long-term futures bet, that's the one in all of these odds I've looked at today. That is the bet where I say to myself, what makes the most sense? Atlanta having a bounce-back season and Tampa Bay deciding even if it's not to coast, just to keep Tom healthy, which makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
Atlanta could win 11 or 12 because Tampa Bay doesn't give a shit about the final record. Tampa Bay won in Lambeau to win the title in Tom Brady's first season. We have cohesion on that team now. The coach is the same. Almost every starter is the same. They don't fucking care if they win 9 games and squeak in the wild card. They're going to go to the Super Bowl again.
Yeah, and we've talked about, their wide receivers are still there. We've talked about Atlanta being the team that maybe the Panthers try to jump up to or Denver tries to jump up to, and they acquire a couple more picks, and now they're filling out starters on the defense. They hop back to 8, 9, 10. They get a DB, then they get an offensive lineman. All of a sudden, the entire team looks different if those guys pan out. So,
I'm with you 100%. I agree with you 100%.
AFC North is I don't want to say a hard division to pick. I actually have a team I really like in this division.
It's not going to be the same one I like.
And I'm going to let you go ahead and start.
Oh, I have to sound dumb first? That's fucked up.
I can sound dumb if you want me to, but it's not going to be dumb.
So I look at this division. I think that the Cleveland Browns at plus 175 are immediately where my eyes go.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're going to be an improved team. Baker's going to have another year, a little bit more confidence. There's going to be a lot of good things for Cleveland. But then my eyes divert to the bottom right corner of this chart, and I see Cincinnati plus 2,500. Right now, you gotta understand how Justin's brain works about this division. I hate the Baltimore Ravens. I know that they're a defensive stalwart. I understand Lamar is a fucking Usain Bolt that throws a football, and he's only going to get better. I understand that Pittsburgh is a decades-long powerhouse of an institution of a football team that is.
Well, I'm throwing Pittsburgh out. I'm throwing Pittsburgh out.
I believe that the Cincinnati Bengals, if they land Penei Sewell or Christian Darrisaw, who in my opinion are far and away that, like, I like Slater, I like Vera Tucker. There's some good offensive linemen in this draft. Penei Sewell and Darrisaw to me are the top two by far. It's what do you want? Penei Sewell's a little bit more refined. Darrisaw's a little bit more aggressive, right? If they end up with a legit offensive tackle lineman that can move around and really protect Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow comes back healthy, if you told me 8 months from now that the Cincinnati Bengals were about to win their division this season behind Joe Burrow and everything that they have going on out there, I would not be surprised. So again, this is a flyer bet for me. If you're asking me if I'm betting my house and I had to pick a team, it's the Cleveland Browns at plus 175. That's the smart bet. You could make a fucking $1 million bet is if Joe Burrow comes back full bore and is pissed off that Justin Herbert took away a trophy he should have had because of an injury. I think Cincinnati plus 2,500 is a fucking tremendous value if all clicks for them.
So this is a kind of a tough division to go through. So, since Lamar Jackson's got there, the Ravens have been an 80% winning team in the regular season, but it kind of seems like most defenses are starting to figure out what they do and figure out ways to stop it. And they looked frustrated last year. They had more trouble throwing the football last year than they did even the year before. The Pittsburgh Steelers, to me, last year was already a year too late for Big Ben. This year's 2 years too late for Big Ben. They still have no running game. James Conner's a great story, but he's not a great running back. Cincinnati's going to be too hard for me to pick because they still don't have a good defense, and I have a lot of trouble picking a guy a year removed from an ACL injury. That thing usually takes 18 to 24 months, in my opinion, especially at the QB position. We've seen it.
Carson Wentz.
Cleveland, then you never come back. Cleveland.
Hey, Carson came back. We just chased him out of town. That's not fair.
Okay, I'll give it to you.
Cleveland's the smart bet, though, right? You got to agree with that. Cleveland is the team I think.
Yeah, they're the smart bet. The Bengals
are the one.
The Bengals also lost AJ Green. The Cleveland Browns are in the second year with their new coach Stefanski. Their identity's running. They're getting Odell Beckham back. They made some moves on the defensive side of the football. I think they're actually the best bet at 175, and I actually think I would pick them over the Ravens to win that division this year.
Here's a quick question for you, though. Does that depend on I don't believe the Odell experiment is working out in Cleveland, and I think that over the offseason we've heard that. I mean, trade deadline last year they were talking about trying to get rid of Odell.
Yeah.
Does their success mean Odell does not finish the season as a Brown?
I think they could win with or without him, but if they figure out that they can win without him and they can get a defensive player for him or just some type of top, like a first round or second round draft pick, you do it because you just proved you didn't need him. So I mean, I don't think it helps or hurts
like
them.
If you're at 19 in the draft and 19 is happy to take on Odell Beckham's contract and can afford it, I'm just making up a fucking number here. I don't know if the teams make sense, but if you're there and Jalen Waddle's on the board, if I'm Cleveland and I can pull that trade off, I think that justifies both ways. I think a team was looking at making.
How do you think teams around the NFL are viewing Odell right now?
I think it depends on the team. I think Antonio Brown is the proof in the pudding of that. Antonio Brown was a fucking problem before he got to New England. Antonio Brown got to New England and met Tom Brady, and all of a sudden, Antonio Brown could hold his shit down enough to play football. So I think there's certain situations that.
But I'm not even. What concerns me is Antonio Brown never ended up being a problem once he got on the football field. He was still great. Odell's been actually a problem on the football field where he hasn't been producing in the same way.
So look at Odell Beckham, right? So Odell Beckham comes into the league with an old Eli Manning, who he does not respect and thinks is burnout, and he never hid that. The only reason Eli ever got fame was because of Odell Beckham. That was his second coming out of Eli Manning. He then goes to Cleveland, and in Cleveland he has Baker Mayfield, who is better. I mean, it's hard to say that Baker's better than Eli. That I almost fucking caught myself there. Baker should be better than Eli. He's a
Hall of Famer, Eli.
Right, well, Eli is a Hall of Famer, bro. 2 Super Bowls against the greatest player of all time. Fuck you, he's a Hall of Famer. Unlike Donovan McNabb, who's not. So if you look at Odell, I believe Odell's problem is he hasn't been in a position where he feels like he has a guy above him, right? And I don't know that it needs to be the quarterback, right? I don't know that he knows that he needs to go to play for Tom Brady. But if he goes into a team that's got like, let's say he goes and plays with DeAndre Hopkins. Right, Odell Beckham Jr. believes he's the best receiver in the league. He has to. That's how those guys operate. Chad Johnson was the same. But if Chad Johnson found himself across from Terrell Owens or Randy Moss, Chad Johnson would have understood his role because Chad Johnson would have needed that check. So I don't know that Odell is not capable. I think he needs a veteran guy who carries all the clout of the league to walk up to him on his own team and be like, hey, bro, I get you. You do your thing. But this is not your fucking town. This is my town. And
yeah, see, I think it's not the wide receiver that needs to do that though, because I actually think most GMs, most owners, most coaches right now would take Jarvis Landry over Odell because I think he does more for your football team. But I think he needs to go to a team with a quarterback that does that for him, a quarterback leader that does that for him, to grab him by the face mask and be like, hey, my team, I'm the QB, run my fucking route. Not a wide receiver that just like, this is my ball, this is my town.
I get it. Throw Kane's comment up real quick. I'm on full screen. So Lamar Jackson's injury potential, that's a great point. And this is something I've been thinking about the last couple of weeks when it comes to Lamar Jackson. I get a lot of shit for giving Lamar Jackson shit. And it's Lamar wasn't a natural quarterback. He needs time to learn the position and blah, 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 blah. All the fucking excuses in the world they want to make because he won an MVP when he shouldn't have. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I know what the record was. I know what his statistics were. He's not a good quarterback. He wasn't in his MVP season. He's not now. He wasn't when he's drafted, and he's never going to be. So what I'm curious of is when does the Robert Griffin III injury happen, which makes me so happy when it does because Robert Griffin III went to go back him up, and I just feel like that was some kind of poetic irony for the future, just laying out a possibility. Lamar Jackson's playing style has to catch up with him because the bigger and stronger and faster. I mean, dude, you have to understand we're in an NFL now where half of these teams, their first or second linebacker isn't a linebacker. He's just a big safety. He's a 6'1", 220 safety. Brian Dawkins is playing linebacker now. And Lamar Jackson loves to run too much. And he is one degree of a mistake of a turn away from ripping his legs to shreds, fucking up his back, a neck injury. There's a million things that can happen. Lamar Jackson will eventually be a gigantic disappointment. And I keep saying this for that reason. I'm not hating on him like I hate on Trevor Lawrence. I hope that kid does become the next fucking Tom Brady. I just see his name and think Matt Leinart. That's an opinion. Lamar Jackson is going to get caught up to eventually because it always catches up to everybody. I think that's a good comment too, man. That is something that there's no way you can, and your Ben comments, bro, Ben Roethlisberger should have retired 3 years ago. And this is Brett Favre ruined the quarterback position. Every single fucking quarterback wants to play 3 years post when they should. And Brett Favre, I think, had the foresight to know, because he played with Tom Brady, that Tom was going to play till 45. So Brett had to fucking do it first. And this is what these guys do. Ben Roethlisberger needs to go away behind a shed like Old Yeller and just get taken out to the farm. Who cares if it's Mason Rudolph or whoever it is? A 38-year-old Ben Roethlisberger is not helping you win. End of rant.
Yeah, I agree with that, and you know, Pittsburgh is I would be shocked if Pittsburgh didn't finish third in that division this year. I really would be.
With you. I believe they're going to be one of those teams that takes a step backwards where we all go, holy shit. Mike Tomlin could lose his job. It could be that bad.
Yeah, but they like to keep their guys way past when they should. We've seen it a million times with them. My favorite division. My favorite division, the AFC East.
I'm going to start with this one and keep it brief because I don't want to listen to you gloat too long. And if I make too many reasonable points, it's going to be a fucking problem. Just so everybody's aware, this idea of odds bets was Aaron's. And I was under the assumption we would be talking about actual division winners also, which we're not. It's just the odds bets. So please understand that with context before I say what I never thought I would ever say. Aaron believes that it's likely the Miami Dolphins could have a 13 or 14 win season. He's not crazy for that because apparently Miami has a GM that knows what the fuck they're doing now.
11 wins for Miami next year.
Okay, so even still, if it's 11, Buffalo is going to beat them. But Miami at plus 350, right? You got the Jets at plus 1,500. Throw them away. There's no point. You have Cam Newton coming back to the Patriots, who I know spent fucking $400 million in free agency, but Cam Newton is still your quarterback. Throw the New England Patriots out. It is a two-horse race. I believe that it is still head and shoulders Buffalo, but if you're looking for value in this division, Miami at plus 350 is worth the money in my opinion, because if they make the right moves after what they've already done, there is no excuse other than they're the Miami fucking Dolphins to not be the best team in this division.
Now, based on what I saw from the Bills last year, I have no reason to think that they can't do this 2 years in a row. I think it's easy for a lot of people to become really hesitant when a guy like Josh Allen has the rookie year that he has, the next year that he has, and then he comes out of nowhere and has an MVP type year. So a lot of people might, start thinking, well, the Bills could take a little bit of step back. Josh Allen's not going to play like that 2 years in a row. I think Josh Allen is going to play like that 2 years in a row. I watched him last year. The arm's not going anywhere. The decision-making is not going anywhere. Stephon Diggs is there. They're going to be fine. The question with them is, can they get help in their running game and their offensive line, and can they play defense a little bit better? Miami's a very well put-together team. Miami just signed Will Fuller. They are plus 350. You're not getting any value with the Bills at minus 150, even if you do bet them. And it's not a sure thing that they might not just drop a game or two off of what they did last year and squeak it out at the end somehow. So I just don't like the bet with Buffalo. I love the bet with Miami. They are going with Tua. They have 2 picks in the first round. They have the 6 and the 18 still, and they're drafting purely for depth and for skill at this point. So you can imagine the 2 things they might need. They could get Chase at 6 and they can get Najee Harris at 18, and all of a sudden they have a complete offense, a complete defense, and they're making a playoff run and maybe a deep playoff run. So I like them at plus 350. Not that I don't think Buffalo could still win, but I think Miami really is going to have a shot and is going to be there at the end of the year, and we'll see what happens.
Can we have a friend wager? Let's do a friend wager because it's months out. Let's do a friend wager, and let's hope my wife doesn't throw something across the room at me. I'm going to put $25 out. If you want, that Miami does not win this division. I will pick a winner if you want me to, because it's Buffalo. But Miami will not win this division. I'm happy to lay $25 out.
I mean, they're the favorites to do it, so you have to give me odds. You have to give me like a game and a half.
I'll give you a game, and we can push.
Okay, I'll take that.
Because I think Miami at the peak is a 10-win team, and I don't see Buffalo winning any less than 12 or 13 again. So, all right, cool.
Yeah.
We have a nice little fair wager.
Yeah, I'll give you a game.
That Miami is like you are trying to build your entire sportscasting platform on the back of Tua and those fucking Miami Dolphins becoming the next San Francisco 49ers.
I think it's very easy with social media in today's day and age to not want to give people a second and third year to come about. And if we did that with Josh Allen his first year, we would have written him off. And I don't think Tua is Josh Allen, but I think he's going to be better than what he played last year, and I think he's going to be a good starter in the league. Let's go to the NFC West. This is the most interesting division, and I think it's actually the easiest one for me personally as far as the value for this division. So you have the Rams at plus 180. You have the Niners plus 180. You have the Seahawks plus 300, and you have the Cardinals plus 600. This one's easy for me, Justin. What do you got?
Why don't you, since it's easy, why don't you fire away and give me your easy logic, and I'll give you where my brain went.
So let's go team by team.
It's not the Rams.
It's not the Rams. We're gonna sit here and assume that Stafford just all of a sudden. Stafford's a better quarterback than Goff, but we've never seen. We've never seen Stafford outside of the line, so I don't know what he's gonna be like with McVay, and we'll see what happens. The 49ers just traded up, so they don't even know who their quarterback's going to be. So if you want me to pick San Fran, I'm not picking San Fran because they're not even starting.
We know who their quarterback's going to be. Their quarterback's going to be Trey Lance. We know that for a fact.
Right, but I'm saying it's like you traded up to draft a quarterback and you want me to pick you to win the division? Not going to happen. Seattle
have the second best defense in the entire NFL.
They could, but every year defenses changes. Buffalo had one of the best defenses the year before, and then they didn't the next year. So shit happens. People get injured. The Seattle Seahawks not going to do it for me. They've been average, in my opinion, for the last couple years. The Cardinals get J.J. Watt. They get A.J. Green on a one-year deal. They have a great middle linebacker. They have Buda Baker in the back. Kyler Murray didn't take the step that we thought he was going to take last year, so hopefully he takes it this year. If you want a value pick, Arizona is the easiest value pick, I think, in the entire NFL right now at plus 600, being last in that division and being a game away from making the playoffs last year.
So,
wait, am I crazy?
We say this often, right? There's a reason why Vegas puts the odds out the way that they do. There's a reason why the Arizona Cardinals are last in this division. I don't know what it is, but there is a reason that exists.
People are throwing money at it, I'm sure.
If I were to levy a guess, it would be because the Rams improved greatly, as many have said, which I disagree with. The Niners are getting their quarterback of the future to pair with their fucking wonderkind head coach. The Seahawks have Russell Wilson. You can never count out the Seahawks while they have Russell Wilson. And I think the Niners are just so much newness, right? Like we said this last year when we started this podcast a year ago. We didn't think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were going to be anywhere close to as good as they were because it was an entirely new system.
We said, I think at the beginning they were going to be a 10-win football team, but they weren't going to do anything in the playoffs.
They wouldn't have the cohesion that they need to. I do understand if that is a concern of odds makers of the Arizona Cardinals. I get that. So I don't want to say that I disagree with you picking the Cardinals. Obviously, plus 600 is the best value in this division anyhow. I think that's the highest of any of the teams I even wrote down. But for me, I'm going to give you a two-way. I'm going to give you, depending on what side the coin lands, this is what my opinion is. If Russell Wilson is a Seattle Seahawk, the Seattle Seahawks win this division. If Russell Wilson is legitimately trying to get out of Seattle, he will eventually accomplish it. I can promise you that Deshaun Watson problems are never going to approach Russell Wilson, and Seattle can never own them like Houston owns Watson, which, by the way, please, before we get off, remind me to get back to, before we leave football, the Deshaun Watson saga. The Arizona Cardinals, to me, are just, if Russell Wilson is not a Seahawk, then the Arizona Cardinals should run away with this division. But again, here's what concerns me. You mentioned it. Kyler Murray did not take that step that we had anticipated last season. Should he this year? Absolutely. But he should have last year, and he didn't. So I have that little bit of a concern. There's a lot of newness on that team. There's a lot of new leaders and new veteran presences in that locker room. That's the only concern I've got for them. But again, as for best value, you're not going to find, at least for me, another team on here plus 600 that I would even tell you to look at. Yeah,
100%. So we have the AFC West. The AFC West, Kansas City minus 400. Chargers plus 500. Should we just throw the Raiders and the Broncos out?
So this really comes down to, do you think that Justin Herbert is going to improve? I don't think Justin Herbert's going to regress at all, but I don't see Justin Herbert taking a giant step forward. If we look at quarterbacks over the history of the last 10 or 20 years, when they have such a solid rookie season, one of two things happens. They maintain and they just continue, or they fall off the fucking planet. I don't see Justin Herbert falling off the planet. I know that LA's in a decent spot in the draft. They're going to address a problem and get probably a good player or two. I just don't think – I know the Chiefs are starting to face reality with paying Patrick Mahomes so much fucking money.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Chargers are going to have enough. I would tell you there is no value bet in this, but if you had to pick a team that was an underdog, it's the Chargers, and you just fucking hope that Patrick Mahomes tears an ACL in week 4.
It's the Chargers, and I still wouldn't bet them. I'm not touching the Raiders. I'm not touching the Broncos. And let's be honest for a second. We thought Kansas City, we saw them let their tackles go, and then they go ahead and they get Kyle Long, Mike Remmers, and Joe Thuney for 5 years, $80 million.
Bro, so Andy Reid will never not have a competitive roster again.
Yeah, it's like
they are, which we'll get to shortly. They are like the Brooklyn Nets of the NFL.
It's the worst best bet in the NFL is that the Chiefs are going to win that division.
Now, I have the same opinion that we just shared about the AFC South, but in reverse. So the Indianapolis Colts are minus 106, which blows my mind.
Me too.
Colts are minus 106 with what you saw Carson Wentz be last year.
Yeah.
Mind-blowing. The Tennessee Titans are plus 130, Jacksonville plus 1,000, Houston plus 1,400. Jacksonville and Houston, toss them out. Trevor Lawrence could be Steve Young. They're not going to win this division. I think that these odds should be reversed. I think this is Tennessee's season in that division. I think Tennessee's going to win 10-12 in the regular season. Derrick Henry's got maybe 1 or 2 monster years left, and he's not going to let any of them slip by him. I think that not only is this a value bet, I think this is the right bet in this division. If you're betting your house, Tennessee wins this division because I believe Indianapolis might win 9 or less this season with Carson Wentz.
This is actually going to be a small bet for me, and it's going to shock you, but I'm going to tell you why it's a small bet because I'm not confident, but I think it's the best value, and it's not the Tennessee Titans. In my opinion, first of all, Tennessee lost the offensive coordinator, right? They lost Arthur Smith, so he's gone. Corey Davis goes to the Jets, so they lose their number 2 wide receiver.
Well, number 3 on most days, but that's okay.
They add basically Bud Dupree, but they also lose Jonnu Smith, which was an 8-touchdown guy, over to the New England Patriots. I am going to, if I have to place a bet based on what I saw from Wentz last year, thinking that maybe the Colts just fucking end up a dumpster fire, throwing out Houston, and I'm going to let Urban Meyer come in here and take Trevor Lawrence, and I'm going to go in, and he's going to win 10 games, and James Robinson's going to run for 1,800 yards. He's going to throw for 35 touchdown passes, and the Jacksonville Jaguars are the bet in this division for value.
Are you done yet? I can't listen to you say Jacksonville Jaguars.
So listen, Shaq Griffin comes in from the Seahawks. Rashawn Jenkins.
Stop.
Hold on, I'm not done. You got to let me make my point.
A first-year head coach with a first-year quarterback with no offensive line, with
Carroll
no
did it.
superstar players, you're telling me is going to win a division.
Or guys have done it. No, I'm not telling you they're going to win the division. I'm telling you this is the best value bet in this division.
Whoever's listening to this
The
right
best
now,
value
I
bet in this
apologize for the
division
recklessness.
is plus 1,000.
No.
Urban Meyer, Trevor
I
Lawrence,
can't let
Jack Griffin, Malcolm Brown, Marvin Jones, franchise tag Cam Robinson, have the rookie of the year James Robinson, DJ Shark, Laviska Shenault, Tyler Eifert, all over the place. Spread them out. Trevor Lawrence, Dinkin, Diamond everywhere.
Everybody listening, please
4,500 yards,
stop.
35
I'm going to mute his fucking microphone in a minute. Everybody, no, it doesn't matter. Even if everything you just said comes true, there's no way they win more than 6 games. Do you think that this division is going to be so bad that the winner has 6 wins? There's no way, bro.
Jacksonville at the very peak, can win 10 games.
No way. That's not. You are out of your fucking mind. You are
best value bet. Best value bet.
Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up the odds. And now I'm going to talk about Deshaun Watson. So I had a thought the other day that I had mentioned to Luke. Luke is a friend of ours who I hope to get on here at some point soon. Me and Aaron had both worked with. So I was talking to Luke the other day where I was driving into work. And your enthusiasm makes me believe. I had a thought, right? So, hey, Ron, I'm going to pitch you a situation, okay? So just listen to this through and then understand, and I'm going to melt your fucking brain. You work for me at a car dealership, right? I own a car dealership. You're my fucking rock star, right? You're the 3rd or 4th best salesman in the fucking world. You are just slinging fucking metal, right? And over the course of the first couple of years you're with me, I get some information that's a little bit unsavory. So I flip over a rock and I look under it. But I don't see anything too egregious, and you're my fucking rock star. So I just kind of ignore it. I shove it to the side. A couple of years later, you and I come together, and you say, hey, I want to stay here. I want to sign a 5-year contract, and I'm going to stay selling cars for you. I'm not going to go to the other guy up the street. And I go, fucking A, man, let's sign a contract. We sign a contract. 2 years later, you come to me and say, hey, Justin, this ain't working for me no more. I don't like the guys here. I don't like the GM. I don't like whatever. I want to move on. I know I signed a contract, but I want out. And I say, tough fucking shit, bro. You're too valuable. I'm not going to trade you anywhere. I'm not going to let your contract go. You got to stay here. So you decide to go public, right? So then me, as the guy with all the money and the billionaire, comes to you and says, Aaron, listen, I'm not going to get specific with you, but there's some things I've heard over the years. And I'm not telling you that I'm going to do any digging. But I have some friends that are pretty capable of finding some shit out about people. And if you don't stop the public comments and going out and trashing me and saying I'm the problem, I'm not going to help protect you anymore. And you say, you know what? Double down. Fuck you. I want out. The Houston Texans knew for years about complaints. This is what we'll hear in 5 years. Complaints about something Deshaun Watson said or did. I don't know how many people have gone and read all of the testimony so far and all of the stories. First of all, not only are they close to a mirror image of each other, they are wildly specific, and no fucking way 6-7 people made this shit up all along themselves and got together. Number one. So the Houston Texans knew about these transgressions or had wind and just never looked. And when Deshaun Watson came out and said that he wanted to go, the owner of the Houston Texans said, you don't want to do that. And if you do, it's not going to end well for you. And because Deshaun Watson's ego is the size of fucking Mount Everest, thinking that he was untouchable, Deshaun Watson will never, ever, ever in a game touch another snap in an NFL game because he pushed too hard against the franchise that he thought he owned. And the Houston Texans this entire time, the whole time, knew what they had. If they trade Deshaun Watson, their franchise is going to shit anyway. Even if they got 5 first-round draft picks, it's going to take them years to rebuild. So fuck it. He doesn't win, we don't win, and then we move forward. And that is exactly what happened with Deshaun Watson.
Now, you had brought this up to me, and I didn't disagree with you at all. I thought that was definitely a probability. It's almost like a situation we saw in Penn State. It's like, well, yeah, he's doing that, but, you know, we're winning a lot of football games, and this is how we make our money, and our donors are paying us a lot of money. So if this comes out, it's going to be really bad for our program, and money's going to stop coming in. I read those allegations. So initially, we had brought this up on one of our first episodes after the allegations, and we said, given the situation, I never want to say that anybody's lying. All this stuff should be taken seriously until more evidence comes out. We should kind of play it by ear and read. Then you start digging into what the allegations are and how specific they are and how detailed they were, and the fact that he visited the same person twice, and what exactly was said in text message, and the apology through the text message. And you're like, man, this guy actually might be sick. And he's done.
I'm going to say this publicly. I wanted to bring this up because I needed to say this publicly. I'm the father of 4 daughters. As you and most of our audience know, I'm married to a beautiful woman. Fuck Deshaun Watson. I hope he goes to prison. If any single one of those details are right about any one of those women, he's a fucking animal and should get his fucking face caved in. That's how I feel about it genuinely. I have to move on. We only got 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
We got to talk basketball, and I have to. What the fuck are the Brooklyn Nets doing, bro? What is listen, these memes were funny for a while, for like the last 3 months. Like Kevin Durant needed to get James Harden and Kyrie to try to go up against the 36-year-old LeBron. DeMarcus Cousins, rumored in the market when he gets bought out going. LaMarcus Aldridge, already there. Blake Griffin, already there. Kyrie, KD, James Harden. All to beat a 36-year-old LeBron. And I believe myself, they're probably not even going to fucking get there to try. And that is, what the fuck are they doing?
Well, the funny thing is,
what is Marcus Aldridge doing going to play for the Brooklyn Nets, bro? Why?
I would have liked to see him actually go to the Trailblazers. I thought that would have been a great fit for him, for the city, going back home, and also give him some depth.
Sure.
But Drummond's expected to sign with the Lakers. So
his agent announced today, as soon as he clears waivers at like 5 or 6 tomorrow, he'll sign.
He's twice the player that both of those guys now are at this point in his career. So it doesn't really matter at this point. The Lakers, if going into the playoffs, if they are healthy, with Drummond in that lineup, with Schroeder in that lineup, with Harrell in that lineup, LeBron and Anthony Davis, they're still going to be the favorites to win. The Clippers aren't going to be there. The Jazz aren't going to be there. Philadelphia is going to be there. And listen, none of that stuff matters with Brooklyn, because the only thing that matters with Brooklyn is if Kevin Durant is healthy or not once the playoffs come around.
And he's not healthy. Something is going on with that injury that we don't know about. We were told 2 to 3 weeks. And then 2 to 3 weeks later, it was, he's not behind, but it'll be another 2 to 3 weeks. And now we're hearing the same shit again, maybe another couple of weeks. Something's going on that they don't want the league to know about. And I don't understand. Even if they win, bro, maybe it's me. Maybe it's because I listen to all this fucking nonsense about, LeBron went to Miami and won with Wade, and then he went to LA and won there, and Kyrie in Cleveland. Does it not take away from this fucking championship that every high-profile buyout or player that was available this season all went to Brooklyn? It kind of cheapens it for me. Even if they go all the way, even if they beat LeBron, which they definitely won't. I don't think they beat the Sixers.
It doesn't cheapen anybody but Kevin Durant.
Because Kyrie cheapens everybody, bro.
Well, no, because listen, Kyrie went up against the juggernaut Warriors team and hit one of the biggest shots of all time, and helped them beat that Golden State team. So he has a ring. Even though LeBron carried him to the ring, that ring doesn't happen without Kyrie there. James Harden just hasn't won a ring. So this is going to be a cheap ring for him anyway.
One of the most overrated superstars in the history of the NBA.
But again, James Harden's done something in his career that Michael, Giannis, LeBron.
What's it done for his franchise?
He's never missed the playoffs in his entire career.
Who cares? How many championship series has he been to? How many?
But you can't base solely every great player on how many championship series they've been to.
But if you don't ever make one, that's a problem. That AI made it on his own. He didn't win. He got his fucking teeth kicked in.
He got swept,
but he got the team there. Right? LeBron at 19 years old with fucking Zydrunas Ilgauskas and Eric Snow. Like, that is what creates greatness. Michael got there. He didn't win before Scottie Pippen. Michael got there, though. Like, that's the thing, man. If we want to make comparisons, we have to be real about
Michael got to the playoffs. He didn't get to the conference finals.
Michael got to the Eastern Conference Finals twice before Scottie. He couldn't beat Detroit. He could not beat the Pistons. He got Scottie Pippen. Now they could beat the Pistons. That's what happened. Michael was the guy that got him there. Like, you look at that Houston Rockets team, bro. It was Chris Paul. When Chris Paul goes down, what happens? They collapse. They've never gotten anywhere far on James Harden's effort. James Harden is an overrated superstar. Natural, unbelievable, incredibly gifted scorer. But he does not deserve to be in a top 5. I saw this fucking meme the other day. If Kevin Durant wins a title, is he a top 5 player all time? Not even close. Kevin Durant's not better than Larry Bird. Kevin Durant's not better than Magic Johnson. Kevin Durant's not better than Kareem. Not even close. As a scorer, he's right up there. He's probably a top 5 scorer right now, like James Harden is. But they're not guys that you can put up there. Allen Iverson, right?
Yo, by the way, you're missing something up though. Mike never got out of the first round without Scottie there. He never got to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's the point I'm trying to make. So you can't judge just based on how, like, everybody needs the guy to get them there. You just said again that Mike just lost in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Let's take Michael out because you and I agree, I think, that Michael's a hair overrated with age now. Allen Iverson didn't need the guy. LeBron James didn't need the guy.
Right, but he would have needed him in the West, right? Because when Mike was going through the East, he had to get through the Celtics and the Pistons.
Yeah, but like, they were old Celtics and old Pistons. So LeBron does more.
Yeah, no, that's not right. The Pistons and Celtics.
Now we have to have an argument about how much better LeBron would have been at the same age as Michael. LeBron did it as a fucking teenager, bro. LeBron did it as a kid in this league, not very far.
Yeah, no, I'm not taking that away with him. I'm just saying, like, James Harden's done some things that a lot. He's done things in the NBA that a lot of NBA players have not done.
Scoring, so he's been an incredible scorer. There's been very few that have a natural ability to score like he does. Kevin Durant is another one of those players, right? Joel Embiid is a different kind of player. We can agree on that, right? Joel Embiid's not anywhere near to Harden, even Harden's clout yet. He's had
and he's never won an Eastern Conference Finals either
because he's 27 years old and is just now entering his prime. James Harden is 32 years old. James Harden entered his prime sooner because he wasn't a 7'2" big man from a fucking another continent that didn't pick up a basketball till he was 16. You have to take all those things into consideration. LeBron
I mean, there's my point is, man, there's a lot of Hall of Famers that have never won a conference finals.
James Harden is going to be a Hall of Famer. I'm not arguing that. He's an overrated superstar. You know who he is? You know who he is? Honestly, era to era, he's Reggie Miller. Like, we look at Reggie Miller now. We look at Reggie Miller
was never putting up James Harden's numbers.
Nobody in the fucking National Basketball Association was back then, Aaron. It's not how basketball was played.
No, nobody ever.
In today's league, he would.
Nobody ever. The only person that ever put up James Harden's offensive numbers was Mike.
Oh, bro.
That was it.
In a
Mike
different
and Will.
style of game. If you go back, if you put James Harden back in Michael's era, James Harden does not score the way he does because Michael was a mid-range guy. I know James Harden can shoot the mid-range. That's not where he amasses his points. He's a three-point shooter like Reggie Miller was. Reggie Miller got overhyped like Ray Allen got overhyped, right? We're talking about Hall of Fame guys. Yeah. Absolutely he's in that class. But you're not putting Reggie Miller and Ray Allen
I'm just having trouble taking away something from a guy that had to go up against the same dynasties LeBron had to go up against too, but isn't LeBron. Obviously, it's not LeBron. No.
How about the only guy that did that had a 2-game lead and lost in Kevin Durant, right? James Harden didn't have the same. Were they up 3-1? Yeah, the Rockets were too, weren't they?
Yeah, they lost Chris Paul, so he needed his Robin.
Not just one of those superstars in Brooklyn, both of them couldn't beat that dynasty that LeBron beat from ahead. They aren't the same kind of character guys, bro. They're not top 5 NBA players of all time.
We're comparing
They're
them.
not close.
Yeah, no. Of course they're not top 5 of all time. Nobody said they were.
Therefore, James Harden is an overrated superstar. Because right now, with the Brooklyn Nets, I'm hearing James Harden for MVP, which is fucking stupid.
It's not. But you just think that you think that because of what happened in Houston, but the way he's playing would tell you otherwise. So
no, I think the way he's playing is incredible. I'm 100% with you. But again, look at how he's playing with what he has around him, right? Like if we take, let's say that the superstar players are Joel Embiid and James Harden for these two teams, Philadelphia and Brooklyn. When you take them away, who has a massive gain in talent the other side? The Sixers are a deeper team by technicality, but they have lesser players. There's no Kevin Durant on this fucking team. There's no Kyrie Irving on this team.
Yeah, but they've been playing without they've been playing without Durant the whole year though,
but
which is
not even a
concerning.
Joe Harris on this team, right? Like Toby would be close because Toby gives you scoring, but Toby's as streaky as they come sometimes, and he plays a different style of game. When Joe Harris has a guy like a James Harden that can set him up on a catch and shoot, could you imagine that guy with Ben Simmons? He's unbelievable. You have more talent and a better fit around a lot of guys around James Harden. What he's doing is not as impressive as what Embiid did before injury. It's not as impressive as what
I'm not saying what James Harden's doing right now is as impressive as what Embiid did, but he's been healthy the whole year. That's the only difference.
Such a fucking So guys aren't in control of their health, bro. That's a bullshit. But this is like Carson Wentz not winning. There was a lot of reasons. There was a better player of the year. Carson Wentz didn't win. But it's the same. As soon as he got hurt, we can't consider this guy anymore. That's fucking stupid. If it's a regular season award, you can count the games they played. If Embiid plays 60 games and had a much bigger effect than a guy that played 72 games, who cares that they got hurt? It doesn't matter. You look at the product on the court. When on the court and apples are apples, one is more valuable than the other.
If it's within 10 games, I think you can make the argument. But I don't think it's going to be.
It's silly to put a number on that. If it's any more than 10 games, if they went on a streak that built the season, that's a guy that needs to be considered.
Well, hopefully we can vote you into a voter one day, bud, and you'll get that vote.
I don't know, bro. Ryan Leaf didn't win anything.
Yeah, he won a trip to rehab.
A doctor, a therapist, and a bag of prescriptions.
It's all right. I've won a trip to rehab in the past too. We'll be back. What's today? Sunday. We'll be back on Wednesday. We're gonna have some more fun. I like the division bets today. We're gonna do something else, a little bit more fun, maybe involving NBA next time. We'll see if anything else happens in the draft moves or free agency. And we'll watch some Sixers games. When's opening day for baseball?
Soon. Hold on. Let me Google it right quick. I think it's the first week of April. MLB opening day. April 1st. So Thursday.
Okay. Phillies playing on Thursday?
I don't fucking know, bro. I didn't look at that.
All right, well, we're gonna have to watch some Phillies games. Anyways, we'll see you guys Wednesday. Big Facts, all streaming platforms. If you guys want to get on the show, message us, and we'll try you out live on here and see if you got what it takes. We don't have what it takes, but we're still gonna see if you do.
Message Aaron, message me, message the Big Facts page. Bring some original content. We want to have fun. That's what we do. I enjoy arguing with my purple shirted colleague and co-host here. It's a great time, and we want to involve you guys. Message one of us. Comment on the post. Say you guys want to be involved. We'll get a hold of you guys. Make sure that you have a decent video camera and a quiet spot. We got to try to not deal with a bunch of background noise, but we're trying to get as many people as we can. Let us know who wants to get in here. We want to get people involved.
All you need is this little screen thing right here. We'll see you guys Wednesday. Big Facts, all streaming platforms. Just have a good night, bud.
You too, bro.